Hello, this is Mr. Molo for Lesson 8-3, Factoring Quadratic Trinomials. Alright, and when you talk to your parents or other teachers about this, they'll probably say, and I'll agree, this is kind of the most fun part of 8th grade math. It's kind of like a puzzle every problem, and it's kind of cool when you can figure out what the puzzle is. Alright, so basically they're going to give you a problem like this, x squared plus 7x plus 10, and you have to make it into that FOIL type of problem. Okay, and there's kind of a thought process to go along with it that I'll explain. So remember, you're still going to be FOILing, so we're always going to have these two sets of parentheses there. So if I have x squared plus 15x plus 36, you have to think which two numbers multiply to 36, but when you add them, give you 15. Okay, so here's the book sets out some examples. So 1 times 36, yep, they multiply to 36, but you add them, you get 37. 2 times 18, multiply to 36, but when you add them, you get 20. 3 times 12, add them to get 36, or multiply them to get 36, and add them to get 15. So then you know the set of parentheses is going to be x plus 3 and x plus 12. And those signs will change depending on what the signs of problems are, but basically that's what we're going to be doing. Alright, so kind of the same thing here. I have x squared plus 10, and then I have, or x squared plus 10x plus 24. Okay, so I'm going to set up my parentheses here. I know the only way to multiply and get to x squared is x times x. And then kind of that's the same thing. I know I need to multiply two numbers so that when they multiply I get 24, and when I add them I get 10. So I'm going to try, let's say 12 and 2, well that's going to be 20, 12 times 2 is 24, and I add them, it's 14. So this would have to be a 6 and a 4. And then I can always check my work, go back and FOIL it again, and I would still get the same thing. Alright, here I have x squared plus 7x plus 12. So let me set up my parentheses. So I know it's going to be x and plus something, and then another set of parentheses with x plus something. Okay, and then 12, I only have a few options. I can do 12 and 1, 6 and 2, or 4 and 3. Pretty much my only ways to multiply to get to 12, and only one of those add to 7, and it's going to be 4 and 3. And then we'll see some other problems here. So x squared plus 6x plus 5. Again, the only way to multiply to 5 is 5 and 1, so that makes it a little simpler when there's only one way to multiply. So if it's a prime number, that makes it a little simpler. You'll see when you have a minus sign here, it kind of messes it up a little bit. That just makes it two minus signs in the middle, because you know that you're going to multiply two numbers so that you're going to get a positive 15, but then when you add them you get a negative 8. So that one's going to be a negative 5 and a negative 3, because when you still multiply two negatives you're going to get that positive 15. When you add them you're going to get negative 8. Same thing here, I have a positive 6, multiply a negative 2 and a negative 3, I'm going to get positive 6, but I add them I get a negative 5. Same thing here, positive 40, and multiply a negative 5 and a negative 8, but when I add them I get a negative 13. Okay, let's try this one here. So I have x squared minus 3x minus 18. Alright, so this one's going to be one where I'm going to have one of each. So I'm going to have x plus something and x minus something. So let's find out, see if we can decide which one is going to be which. So I need to multiply two numbers, and when I multiply them I'm going to get a negative 18, and when I subtract them I'm going to get a negative 3. So I'm going to put in a negative 6 here, and a positive 3. Because then if I multiply negative 6 times a positive 3, I'm going to get negative 18, and when I add negative 6 and positive 3, I get a negative 3. Make sure you are putting them with this order. So it could be x plus 3 and then x minus 6. It doesn't matter about that, but make sure that negative sign is with the negative, is with the 6. If it was the other way around, you get a plus 3, and then you wouldn't get the same answer. So here's kind of the same thing, x squared plus 2x minus 15. Okay, so I know one's going to be positive, one's going to be negative when I have a minus that number. And it's going to be a 5 and a 3. And again, my 5 has to be positive because my 2x is positive. Here I have negative 8x minus 20. Again, I'm going to get 1 and 1, 1 positive, 1 negative. And the way to get to negative 8x is with a negative 10 and a positive 2. Because when I add them, I get negative 10 plus 2 is going to give me that negative 8x. There's a couple different rules that we will go over tomorrow in class that kind of shows you how this works.